You know what hurts more than losing your husband? Finding out your own child sees you as nothing but a wallet with legs. I'm Margaret. I'm 52 years old, and after 25 years of raising my son Tyler, after sacrificing everything to give him the best life possible, he taught me a lesson I'll never forget. But here's the thing about us Denver women. We don't stay down long. And when we get back up, well, let's just say Tyler learned that his sweet old mom had some tricks up her sleeve he never saw coming. What happened next will make you question everything you think you know about family loyalty. Before I tell you how I made my son regret that text message for the rest of his life, hit that like button if you've ever felt betrayed by your own family, and subscribe because this story gets darker and more twisted than anything you've seen on this channel. Let me paint you a picture of my life. There I was, sitting in my empty house on Maple Street in Denver, surrounded by nothing but memories and the suffocating silence that followed death. Robert had been gone for 3 years, and Lord, I was drowning in that loneliness. You know that kind of quiet that screams at you? That was my every evening. The house felt like a mausoleum. Robert's coffee mug still sat in the same spot on the kitchen counter where he'd left it that last morning. His reading glasses were folded on the nightstand, waiting for eyes that would never see again. I'd become one of those women you pity, the widow who talks to her plants and watches reruns of the Golden Girls just to hear human voices. But I had hope. I had my son Tyler. Tyler was my golden boy, my pride and joy. 27 years old, living down in Phoenix with his wife Jessica and their 2 children, my precious grandchildren, Emma and Jake. Emma was 8 with those sparkle and blue eyes that reminded me so much of Robert, and little Jake was 5, full of giggles and mischief. Those children were my lifeline, the only thing keeping me tethered to this world. The problem was, I hardly ever saw them. Phoenix might as well have been on Mars for all the contact we had. Tyler was always busy with work. Jessica was always dealing with something, and the kids barely knew their grandmother existed. Every holiday felt like begging. Every birthday invitation felt like charity. So when my phone rang that Tuesday evening in March and I saw Tyler's name light up the screen, my heart practically leaped out of my chest. He never called. Ever. "Hi, Tyler," I said, trying not to sound as desperate as I felt. "What a wonderful surprise." "Hey, Mom." His voice sounded different, softer somehow, almost nervous. "How are you doing?" We made small talk for a few minutes, but I could sense something building. Tyler was working up to something, and my mother's intuition was hollering that this was important. Finally, he cleared his throat. "Mom, I need to ask you something. It's kind of a big favor." My heart started racing. Tyler never asked me for favors. "Of course, honey. Anything. What do you need?" "Well, it's about the kids. Emma's been asking about Disney World nonstop, and Jake, he's obsessed with Mickey Mouse right now. Jessica and I have been talking about maybe taking them for spring break, but with Jessica's medical bills from her surgery last year and the new mortgage, we're just strapped, Mom, really strapped. Jessica's surgery, right, the mysterious procedure that Tyler had mentioned once but never explained. I'd wanted to help then, but I've been shut out completely. I was wondering, I hate to ask, but would you consider helping us out? Maybe contributing to a family vacation? The kids would love it so much, and honestly, Mom, I think it would be good for all of us. We could all go together. You, me, Jessica, the kids. Like a real family trip. I stopped breathing. Had I heard him correctly? A family trip? Together? After 3 years of feeling like an outsider, he was inviting me to Disney World with my grandchildren? I stammered, tears already forming. "Tyler, do you really mean it? All of us together?" "Of course, Mom. Emma and Jake barely know their grandmother. This could be our chance to really bond, Make some memories. I was already mentally packing. I could picture it all. Holding Emma's hand as we walked through Cinderella Castle, lifting Jake up to see the parade better, watching their faces light up when they met Mickey Mouse. "How much would you need?" I asked, not even caring about the amount. "Well, if we really do this right, stay at one of the nice resorts, get the park hopper passes, nice meals, it would probably run about $8,000. Maybe $8,500 to be safe." $8,500. It was a lot of money, but I had Robert's life insurance, his pension, our savings. What good was money if I couldn't use it to buy back my place in my family's life? "Done," I said, without hesitation. "Tyler, honey, I'll transfer the money tomorrow. This is going to be the most wonderful vacation." We spent the next hour planning. I suggested the Grand Floridian Resort. If we were doing this, we were doing it right. We talked about character dinners and princess makeovers. For the first time in 3 years, I felt useful. I felt wanted. I felt like I mattered. When we finally hung up, I sat in my quiet house with tears streaming down my face. But for once, they weren't tears of loneliness. They were tears of pure, unadulterated joy. I had my family back. What I didn't know was that while I was crying tears of joy in Denver, Tyler and Jessica were already celebrating their brilliant manipulation in Phoenix. The next morning, I woke up with more energy than I had in years. I practically bounced out of bed and headed straight to my laptop to transfer the money. $8,500, gone with a few clicks. But I never felt better about spending money in my entire life. I spent that whole Wednesday in a state of pure bliss. Calling the Grand Floridian to ask questions, researching the best restaurants for families, even ordered a new suitcase online because mine was ancient and embarrassing. I wanted everything to be perfect for my grandchildren. Thursday was more of the same. I drove to the mall and bought Emma a beautiful princess dress for the character dinners and got Jake the most adorable Mickey Mouse ears with his name embroidered on them. The saleswoman at the Disney store commented on how excited I seemed, and I couldn't help myself. I told her all about our upcoming family vacation. "That sounds magical," she said with a genuine smile. "Your grandchildren are so lucky to have a grandmother who loves them this much." By Friday, just 2 days before our scheduled departure, I had everything ready. My suitcase was packed with carefully chosen outfits. I'd gotten my hair done at the salon, treating myself to blonde highlights that took 10 years off my appearance. I even bought a new camera specifically for capturing every precious moment. I was in my kitchen that evening, making myself a light dinner and mentally going through my packing list one more time when my phone buzzed with a text message. Tyler's name appeared on the screen, and my heart did that little flutter it always did when I heard from him. Probably last-minute details about our flight times. I picked up the phone with a smile, expecting coordination details or maybe even a sweet message from the kids about how excited they were. Instead, I read 23 words that felt like a knife straight through my heart. "Mom, you won't be joining us. Jessica prefers to keep it only her family. Thanks for understanding." I stared at that message for a full minute, certain I was misreading it. My eyes had to be playing tricks on me. There was no way Tyler would send me something so cold, so devastating, so completely cruel. But there it was, in black and white. Jessica prefers to keep it only her family. Her family? What was I then?
I was Tyler's mother. I was Emma and Jake's grandmother. I was the woman who had just spent $8,500 to make this vacation possible. But according to this text message, I wasn't family. My hands started shaking so violently I nearly dropped the phone. The princess dress I'd bought for Emma was hanging on the closet door. Jake's Mickey Mouse ears were sitting on the counter, the embroidered letters spelling out his name in cheerful red thread. 20 minutes I sat in that chair, for 20 solid minutes, just staring at Tyler's text message, waiting for the follow-up that would explain this was all a mistake, a misunderstanding, maybe even a joke. But my phone remained silent. I called him. Straight to voicemail. I called again. Voicemail. On the third try, I left a message. Tyler, honey, I got your text, and I think there might be some confusion. Could you please call me back? I love you. He never called back. The humiliation was unlike anything I'd ever experienced. I thought about all the people I'd told, the Disney store saleswoman, my neighbor Mrs. Henderson, my book club ladies. I'd been so proud to tell them about this wonderful family bonding time. Now I had to face the truth. My own son saw me as nothing more than a convenient source of funding. But as I sat there, surrounded by the evidence of my naive excitement, something else started building alongside the humiliation. Something hot and fierce and righteously angry. I walked over to my laptop and opened my banking website. Sure enough, there it was, the $8,500 transfer to Tyler's account, marked as completed. Then I called the Grand Floridian Resort. Good evening. I need to speak to someone about a reservation under Tyler Mitchell. What the helpful resort agent told me next made my blood run cold. The reservation had been modified that afternoon. The room had been upgraded to the presidential suite, a $3,000 per night upgrade using the extra funds in their vacation account. They hadn't just excluded me. They had planned this. They had used me, stolen from me, and humiliated me with cold, calculated precision. I took a long, steadying breath. Ma'am, I said to the agent, the deposit and linked vacation fund are on my card. As the payer, I'm canceling this entire package and requesting a refund to the original payment method. Yes, ma'am, she said after a pause. Since you are the cardholder of record, we can process that. Within 15 minutes, it was done. Every single penny would be refunded to my account within 5 to 7 business days. What Tyler didn't know was that his sweet, naive mother had inherited more than just money when Robert died. She'd also inherited his private investigation business and all the connections that came with it. You know what they say about underestimating people? It's the kind of mistake that can destroy your entire life. And Tyler was about to learn that lesson the hard way. What my dear son had conveniently forgotten was exactly what his father Robert had done for 30 years before that car accident took him from me. Robert Mitchell wasn't just my husband. He was one of Denver's most successful private investigators. For 30 years, he'd built a business exposing cheaters, finding missing persons, and uncovering lies. When he died, that business didn't just disappear. It came to me. Along with the business came something even more valuable: relationships. Contacts in every corner of the system. People who owed Robert favors. People who were more than happy to help his widow when she needed information.
People like Marcus White. Marcus had worked with Robert for 15 years before starting his own agency. As I sat staring at Tyler's cruel text message, I realized it was time to make a phone call I never thought I'd have to make. Marcus answered on the second ring. "Margaret, how are you holding up, sweetheart?" "I've been better, Marcus. I need a favor. A big one." I told him everything. The phone call, the money transfer, the text message, the presidential suite upgrade. As I spoke, I could hear Marcus making those little investigator sounds that meant his brain was already working. "Marcus, how far do you want me to dig into Tyler's life?" "Marcus, I want you to find out everything. Every lie, every secret, every dirty detail." "You got it. Give me until Sunday night." My next call was to Amanda Reed at First National Bank. "Amanda, it's Margaret Mitchell. I need to report a transfer I made yesterday that appears to have been obtained through misrepresentation." "Margaret, once a transfer is completed, it's hard to reverse. But if there's suspected fraud, we can open a provisional hold while we review." I explained the situation, and Amanda's voice grew colder with each detail. "A large transfer followed immediately by exclusion from the stated purpose? Yes, we can open a fraud case and place a hold for up to 10 business days while we investigate." I felt the first genuine smile cross my face since Tyler's text. "Amanda, you're an angel." My third call was to Janet Miller, an old acquaintance who now worked on the tax side of things. "Janet, it's Margaret Mitchell, Robert's widow. I'm having some family troubles that might involve tax issues." I explained about Tyler claiming me as a dependent while cutting me out of his life. "If what you're telling me is accurate," she said carefully, "you should file a report. It could trigger a review. We can't promise action, but it puts it on record." That was honest. That was enough. By Saturday morning, I had an active bank review, a refund in process from Disney because I was the card holder, and Marcus digging where polite people never look. And I felt something I hadn't experienced in 3 years. Pure, unadulterated power. But the phone call I received from Marcus on Sunday night would reveal a secret so shocking that it would give me the ultimate weapon for revenge. If you're still not subscribing, drop a comment. What's holding you back? Sunday night, I was sitting in my living room feeling more satisfied than I had in months when Marcus called at 8:30. "Margaret, are you sitting down?" The tone of his voice made my stomach drop. For Marcus to sound this shaken meant he'd found something truly explosive. "I'm sitting. What you find?" "Margaret, your son's entire life is a lie. Every single piece of it." "What do you mean?" "Let's start with finances. Tyler and Jessica aren't struggling because of medical bills. Jessica has been systematically draining their accounts. Over $40,000 transferred to private accounts that Tyler doesn't even know exist." $40,000? That's just the beginning. Margaret, I ran a background check on Jessica Brown, and what I found, I've never seen anything like it. I gripped the phone tighter. "Tell me everything." Jessica Brown is legally married and has been for 6 years. Her legal husband is David Brown, who lives in Tucson, Arizona. They own a house together, file joint tax returns, the whole 9 yards. The world seemed to tilt sideways. That's impossible.
Tyler married Jessica 3 years ago. I was at the wedding. You were at a ceremony, a fake ceremony with no legal standing whatsoever. Tyler thinks he's married, but he's not. But the children! Margaret, we obtained lawful comparable samples with Tyler's consent for a buccal swab and using discarded personal items consistent with legal guidance. The lab confirmed Emma and Jake aren't Tyler's biological children. They match David Brown. I couldn't breathe. How is this possible? Because Jessica is very, very good at this. I found evidence that she's done this before. 3 times, in fact. She finds lonely men, moves in with them, convinces them to support her and her children, then drains their resources while maintaining her real life elsewhere. Tyler's text message took on an entirely different meaning. Jessica prefers to keep it only her family. She wasn't excluding me because she didn't like me. She was protecting her secret. There's more. Jessica has been planning to disappear soon. She's got plane tickets to Tucson for next month, and she's been liquidating assets. What about Tyler? Does he have any idea? None whatsoever. He's living in a complete fantasy. I thought about Tyler's text message, about the presidential suite upgrade, about 3 years of being shut out of his life. Marcus, I need copies of everything you found. Margaret, this kind of information could destroy Tyler's entire world. His world is already destroyed, Marcus. He just don't know it yet. The question is whether he learns the truth from his loving mother or from some stranger who doesn't give a damn about his feelings. Tyler thought his biggest problem was his frozen bank account. He had no idea that his entire life was about to explode in the most spectacular way possible. Monday morning arrived with Tyler pounding on my front door at 7 a.m. looking like he hadn't slept in 2 days. I watched him through the peephole for a full minute before deciding to let him in. His hair was disheveled, his clothes wrinkled, and his face had that desperate look of a man whose world was crashing down. When I opened the door, he practically exploded. "Tyler, what the hell did you do? The bank froze our account. Disney canceled everything. Jessica's hysterical, the kids are crying, and we're supposed to be leaving for the airport in 6 hours. I stepped aside to let him in. "Would you like some coffee, Tyler? You look tired." "I don't want coffee. I want to know why you sabotaged our vacation." "Have they been looking forward to it?" I asked mildly. "Or have they been looking forward to a vacation that Jessica planned to take without their grandmother?" Tyler ran his hands through his hair. "Look, Mom, I know the text was harsh, but Jessica's been under stress lately. She didn't mean to hurt your feelings." "Tyler, that text came from your phone." He had the grace to look ashamed. "Okay, fine, I sent it, but it was Jessica's idea." "I see. And I'm not family?" "Of course you're family, but it's complicated." I reached for the manila envelope Marcus had delivered that morning. "Tyler, sit down. We need to have a conversation." "Mom, I don't have time for—" "Sit down." Tyler sank on the couch like a scolded child. I pulled out the first document, Jessica's marriage certificate to David Brown. "Tyler, I want you to look at this very carefully." He took the document with shaking hands. I watched his face as he read it, watched the confusion turn to disbelief, watched the color drain from his cheeks. "This has to be fake. Jessica wouldn't—" "We're married. You were there." We had a ceremony with no legal standing because the bride was already legally married to someone else. I handed him the property deed, the bank statements, the photographs of Jessica kissing David goodbye 3 days ago. Then the lab report. Emma and Jake aren't your biological children, Tyler. The profiles match David Brown. The sound that came out of Tyler wasn't quite human. It was the sound of a man's entire reality shattering. No, Emma calls me Daddy. Jake looks just like me. People see what they expect to see, Tyler, and Jessica is very good at her job. I handed him the final folder. This isn't the first time she's done this. She's run this exact con on 3 other men. Tyler was crying now, ugly sobs that shook his whole body. The medical bills. There were no medical bills. She's been transferring money to private accounts, over $40,000. I knelt down in front of him. Tyler, Jessica was planning to disappear next month. She already has plane tickets back to Tucson. He looked up at me with red, swollen eyes. How long have you known? I found out Saturday night. Why didn't you call me immediately? Tyler, do you remember what you texted me Friday night? He looked ashamed. Mom, I'm sorry about that. No, Tyler, you took my money, excluded me from the vacation I paid for, and thanked me for understanding. You treated me like nothing more than a convenient ATM. Tyler stared at me like he was seeing me for the first time. Mom, what did you do? I did what any mother would do when her son betrayed her. I protected myself, and then I saved him from making the biggest mistake of his life. You destroyed my entire life in 3 days. No, sweetheart. Jessica destroyed your life over 3 years. I just made sure you found out about it before she could finish the job. Tyler looked at the scattered documents, then back at me. What happens now? Now you have choices. You can wallow in self-pity, or you can decide what kind of man you want to be. You can let Jessica disappear with Emma and Jake, or you can fight for custody of the children you've been raising. He swallowed hard. How would that even work? You start with truth. David Brown deserves to know what's been done in his name. If he consents, and given the fraud, he might, then the court can recognize what you've been these past 3 years. A psychological parent. The best interest of the children matter. Stability matters. And if Jessica's fraud comes to light, a judge will see it. I stood up and smoothed down my skirt. But Tyler, whatever you decide, you're going to do it without my money. The days of you treating me like your personal bank while excluding me from your knife are over.
Tyler looked up at me with something that might have been respect for the first time in years. Mom, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for everything. I know you are, sweetheart. The question is what you're going to do about it. 6 months later, Tyler won custody of Emma and Jake. David Brown, sick to his stomach when he learned the full truth, consented, stating on the record that the children were safe and thriving with Tyler. The court recognized Tyler's role as their de facto parent and found that remaining with him served the children's best interests, especially in light of Jessica's pattern of deception. Jessica disappeared back to Tucson, and David Brown filed for divorce when he discovered what his wife had been doing. Tyler moved back to Denver, and we have dinner every Sunday. He's never asked me for money again. But more importantly, he's never excluded me from his life again either. Because Tyler finally learned the most important lesson of all. You should never underestimate the power of a mother's love or her wrath when that love is betrayed. So drop a comment and tell me, was Tyler's punishment too severe or not severe enough? If you loved watching this family drama unfold, like this video, subscribe, and join the Titan family for more stories of family betrayal and revenge. Hit that notification bell, because trust me, the stories I have coming up will make this one look like child's play. See you in our next story.